Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another exciting episode of the Jaded Mechanic podcast. I'm here with a good friend of mine, Mr. Bret T. Fadley. And Mr. Bret T. Fadley is here with me today because he's got a little event coming up. And we thought we should talk about it because I think it's a pretty important event to talk about. Take it away, Bret. How are you, man?
Good, buddy. How are you? Good seeing you.
For people that are only listening and aren't seeing the video, Bret is an absolute fashion icon, and he is sitting there with a beautiful red jacket that is kind of a tip of the hat to Mr. Jimmy Lee. Jimmy was the one that started so Bret and I are both huge Jimmy Lee fans and huge fans of his fashion sense. So he's got a very flashy jacket on. So if you're listening and have the chance to go over and check out YouTube or TikTok at some point when these clips come on and check the jacket out, it's very worthwhile checking it out. He said earlier you had one on today, Bret, that kind of looked like an Easter egg, which is kind of very appropriate.
It does.
Because we're recording this on Easter Sunday, everybody. So, yes. Fantastic.
That's the one I had on at Vision that Jimmy gave me.
Yeah. So, I have a jacket that Jimmy gave me as well. So, but I don't really wear it too much because it's the Tommy Boy thing. It's the fat guy in a little coat. I'll blow the seams right out.
You got to bring it to Tools.
Yeah, I'll return it to him at Tools, and I'll get one up here that fits. But yeah, so Bret, tell us a little bit about not just what is Tools, but why did you start Tools?
Well, I didn't start it.
Okay.
It was a training event with our association at the time, the AASPPA, Alliance of Automotive Service Providers.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of an event that was starting to die.
Right.
For one reason or another. And our executive director resigned in beginning of 23.
Okay.
It was thrown on the board's lap that we had to have this event. We were contracted. And I think I've said this before on some of the other podcasts, but none of us ever did an event. We had no clue. We needed to get through 23. We got through 23 and people were excited about what we did in 6 months. Turned around and did it in May of last year, 6 months after we had it in October.
Yeah.
And it's starting to get a lot of buzz. The goal for Tools, which is technicians and owners on obtaining lessons learned.
Right.
The goal is for Tools to grow and to become one of the major training events for the states up here in the Northeast, like ASTA has become in the Southeast, Vision in the Midwest, and there's ones in Northwest area as well. I know Texas has some stuff, but we want to grow Tools to become a big training an event that you got to attend. Yeah. And if you don't attend these events anywhere, there are plenty of events to go to. I highly recommend. You can't afford not to go.
You and I were just talking about that, and it's the same. You know, I keep saying, and I understand. Like, I have to specify. Since my journey on here, I've become much more aligned and understanding about the challenges financially of so many shop owners out there, right? Like, and you start to see it, and Bret, you know it too. You network with a lot of them. You know that sometimes there's like barely enough to cover what you need to cover, right? So then when somebody says, hey, you're going to be gone and travel for 3 days and be away from the shop and everything else, and somebody says just there's no way. But you and I have seen the value for so many people when they make that investment. I'm not going to say it's a small investment. When we've seen the results, right, Bret? Like it is. It's life-changing.
And I know owners don't like to close their shop. They look at it as losing revenue.
Yeah.
Yes, you do lose revenue, and it is expensive. If you're going to take your entire staff to a training event, it's going to cost you a few $1,000s, depending on how many staff you have. But it's an investment in not only their future growth, but in your business to grow.
Yeah.
And if you post out there to your customer base, your client base, like, hey, we are closed today to attend a training event to better serve you. What does that perspective look like from the consumer side? Huge. Hey, these guys are going to get better so they can help me better.
Yeah.
And networking is the biggest key to this. Oh. I wouldn't have got to know you. I wouldn't have got to know Jimmy Lee, David and Lucas, anybody, if I didn't attend these events and make that commitment and investment to do it.
And it's so much like we can talk about, we do the little, like, we all network online in the Facebook groups and on whatever, and we're talking. And you get to know somebody, but like they say, the magic of these events is when you sit down, later on at the pub or wherever, at the bar, at dinner, around dinner, and you start just sharing
Yep.
situations and scenarios from your business. I had a technician that I had to do this with. I had a distributor, a vendor, that all these problems get solved in a much, I don't want to say more efficient, but you can be open. You can be a lot more forthcoming and say, like, I may not post that in a group, but with people that I trust or people that I know for sure have been there and done that, I will pose the question. I will ask. I've seen it firsthand just sitting there, and I'm not a business owner, so I don't sit there and ask a lot of questions, but I mean, I've seen the light bulb go off, and I've seen the people all of a sudden feel so much better because the question that they had to ask and weren't sure how, they suddenly asked it and that they got the answer that they wanted. And that's the
It's
take
the
home
power.
from these groups. Yes.
I mean, for instance, we just had a 21 Jeep Grand Cherokee that we've been chasing evap problems.
Mm-hmm.
We put factory eSIM in it,
Yeah.
purge valve, and it kept coming back. Now we were leaning towards the fuel tank pressure sensor. The data wasn't there to prove it. And Brandon Steckler, data don't lie. We didn't have the data to prove our theory.
Yeah.
I tried to call Andrew Fisher. He didn't answer, so I called Brian Pollock. My text started talking to Brian, and no sooner did my text start talking, Brian said, let me guess, it's this. Is it doing this? He said, yes, it's a fuel tank pressure.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have got to know, to be able to make them calls without getting to network, and getting offline and meeting you guys in person is where it's
Mm-hmm.
at.
Oh, 100%. Because I mean, and I'm trying to be, I'm trying to be a better person, or friendlier person, online than when I come across. But it's just the way I type. People for
I
years
know
have said to me,
people
yeah,
hide behind a keyboard.
that's right.
You can't relate to emotion on a keyboard.
Yeah. And it's not that I lack emotion. It's the way I type is very blunt and to the point. And, probably AI in the future will get better and it won't sound like such a jerk. But it's just the way I write it out. So sometimes people, it comes across, but I'm just in my head, I'm processing like, okay, like, did you do this? Did you do this? Did you do this? No, no, no. Why? That's just how my brain is going at the speed, and I'm going like this. So
Yep.
people think, oh my God, I'm not that way at all. But it's just the way my brain processes what you're putting down to me and how I'm answering back, right? If we're having a conversation like this, you see it, but
Yep.
just in the written word, it's not there. And
Yeah.
that's been the beauty of it for me from interviewing so many people and getting to know them at the events is it's just like, I realize, wow, they were cool people just to talk to this way. But once you sit down with them and you realize you're like, Eric and Lola, for instance, are just like some of the funniest,
Oh
coolest
yeah.
people that you want to be around. You kind of get that vibe but you don't really get it until you meet them. And then you're like, I mean, I just adore the both of them. They're just,
The people I've met in this industry, and it when you go to these events, they talk about it's only the top 1% that usually attend these events. That number needs to change. It needs
yeah,
to be the top 95% that
yeah,
attend these events. But they are when you get around these people, and whether it's at the bar, whether it's at the restaurant, or sitting in the lobby just having a chat, this is some of the smartest people in our industry. And when
100%.
you get there, you can see how valuable our industry is, and the people that are involved in it. It's huge.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, going back to your fuel tank pressure sensor as an example, like, that's a relatively new part. Like, I don't want to say new part, but Chrysler for a lot of evap systems does not have a sensor, a fuel tank pressure sensor. They didn't use one. Some systems did, some systems didn't.
Yeah.
And we're talking 21 for a lot of us in the aftermarket. That's a very new car for us, right? We're used to working on. I see probably more 2011s still
Yep.
than I see 21s. So there isn't necessarily a bulletin set up like that yet. There isn't Identifix may not have anything. It's not like the old days where the guys who you could call up to the dealer and they would talk to you. That doesn't happen as much anymore from the parts side of it or from talking to a technician. There's just the people don't have the time. So when you can network to the level that we've been able to network, where it can be like, hey, I need to talk to Brandon Steckler. I need to talk to Brian Pollock. Like these brilliant minds within the industry. Or I want to reach out and talk to one of the business brilliant minds. We're so fortunate to be able to do that. And
Yep.
that's how those relationships get started, is by meeting at an event like this.
Yep.
It's,
It is. Yeah.
I still remember meeting, meeting Brian for the first time, meeting Paul for the first time, meeting Lucas. Lucas and I were friends for a decade before we met in person. You know what I mean? Like it's just, it's not the same. It's not the same. I
Yeah,
tell
it's just
everybody,
there are days I love this industry. There are days I
Mhm.
don't like it, but the people that are in it, the camaraderie that I've built up, I love it.
So
I
Brett,
love it.
what's the days that you don't love it? What's that encompass?
It's just, the everyday grind of being in the auto repair. You never know what you're going to run into. And I struggle with it. Actually, I was just talking to Lucas a couple weeks ago. I mean, I've been, as a business owner, I've been in a real funk the last couple months. I get in there with an idea and an agenda in my head. This is what I need to do. And within 30 minutes, that agenda is completely out the window. And I
Okay.
just feel myself spinning the wheels. And it takes talking to my business coach, talking to other people like Lucas and stuff that are feeling the same
Yeah.
problems you are having. And you don't see that from what they portray, like with Lucas on the podcast or seeing him around. But we all struggle with it. And that's where the networking is like, hey, you got a problem. Well, you said, reach out to somebody. They're having the same issues as you are. How do we get through it?
Yeah. He reached out to me, Lucas, a couple weeks ago when he had a 45-minute rant at me about the struggles that he's got going on in his business, and how does he, and it's not like, I don't mean to say a rant like in the sense that he was getting on there saying like I was ready to light fire everything and fire everybody, and it wasn't like that. But it's like you think and he thinks and I think. The way to get this is, everybody sees the term SOPs and processes, right? You want to start implementing this stuff. But there's so many obstacles to get a simple process to be implemented. And it's because we're humans, right? It takes, some things are very simple, but then there's other things that, like, if we have to break a habit to start a new habit, think about how long it took to make the old habit a habit,
And
you
how
know?
long it's taken to break that habit.
Yeah.
I'll
Right.
tell you what I did, and this is coming from my business coach.
Hmm.
When I was on the week before, I've been in a funk. My service advisor quit at the end of January.
I'm
I
sorry to
had
say that.
another lady, my CSR part-time service advisor. She was working her way there. She quit. Wait, right when
Mm.
I thought the business was running without me.
Right.
And then I start seeing mistakes because I finally started doing the audits and all that and looking in and it's like, why are you doing this? Why? And they quit.
Yeah.
So I've been in a funk since. And my coach said, what would it take you to get out of your funk? I said, probably shut down a whole week. But I can't afford to do that.
Hmm.
So I took a day last week, not just past week, but the week before. I shut down on a Thursday. Now we're only open Monday through Thursday. I shut down
Right.
a productive day and announced that I'm going to be closed for in-house training. And we went through simple processes of things I wanted to do. It relieved me, and the staff, they're getting paid to be there.
Hmm.
But then they came to me at the end of the day, like, we need to do this more often. I said, well, I'm not going to shut down every time, but we'll
Yeah.
come back in on a Friday for a couple hours when we're off and go over some more processes. So it was a team building and get everybody on the same page idea.
I think that's key because I know at my last employer, I went in on, because I wasn't struggling, but I was just, the way they wanted the DVI done and then the way I thought I was doing the DVI were not the same thing. So it literally took me going in it was either a Friday morning or a Saturday morning, I can't remember. Just him and we went through it until it was like we brought a vehicle in and looked at it, what he looked at, what I looked at, what I saw, what he saw, how I wrote it down, and then he understood better some of the snags I was in that process, and I understood better why he wanted it written a certain way or done a certain way to help the other people. Because as technicians, we're very focused
Oh yeah.
on speed. So it was like I'm writing down, coolant level low, and he's writing down coolant level low, suggest further inspection and diag of where coolant loss is occurring from. To me, we're saying the same thing.
Right.
But to him, he's like, when I hand that off to the advisor, though, to me, what I seem is like instinctual. You should know to do that next. He's saying sometimes you have to write it down. So it's just more effective communication, right? But it took that morning of him and I. At the end of the day, I didn't, he didn't pay me for it. I didn't expect to get paid. It's like, hey, let's work towards this better. Now, I'm not advocating that everybody do a bunch of stuff for free, but at the same time, it made us such more effective as a team in our
Exactly.
communication,
We went over DVI as well because everybody
Mhm.
was doing it differently. And if we marked the DVI the previous time and we don't mark it again the second time, I so we reevaluated the DVI, so everybody's doing it the same way.
Yeah,
If the car's been in, look at the previous inspection, and if we had notes there, make sure you're looking at that. And
yeah,
if it was fixed, make sure you note it. Hey, this
yeah,
was fixed. Let's take it off. So
yeah.
it's stuff like that, and it takes some simple communication within the shop so everybody's on the same page.
Hmm. I find that so. Oh, that's still where it would really grind my gears when it's like, because to me, from a technician standpoint, when I was at the dealer, we could see all the history that ever been done on the car right from my computer. I didn't have to go out to the office and use a different, and I know the service softwares out there have that same function now, but sometimes I don't have time to look at it, right? So it would
No.
drive me nuts when it was like, there's all this stuff recommended last time, and it's just in for another oil change. And I'm like, why am I filling this out? Like, either the customer has to be on board about like getting it addressed, or else it's just like you said, technician A doesn't call that, fluid seepage. He doesn't put it down in red, he puts it down in yellow. Last customer put it down in red, or excuse me, last technician, different technician puts it down in red last time. To the customer, that's not consistent.
No.
We have to keep it consistent. So, and not only that, we have to be all aware, I feel, if we're really going to start to utilize the DVI properly, and why we're following the 300% rule, is the customer has to be aware when they're booking the appointment in, that we remember what was recommended last time, right? We're going to advocate that we look at it again, that we maybe think about, you know, resolving the issue that the car has, and we go forward. If we're not doing that, then all our DVI is just wasted. It's just, to me, it's then just go back to doing an oil change. That's it.
But that was some of the reason that both my service advisor had quit. They
Hmm.
weren't estimating everything as the tech was putting on the DVI.
Yeah,
So if you don't estimate it, it didn't happen.
yeah,
So there's no record. So that's the biggest thing. I'm as a business owner, I want you to estimate everything because it makes the tech feel good that, hey, I'm not being ignored.
100%. Yeah,
The service advisor needs to estimate everything that the tech sees. You address the customer's concern, number one. Anything that the tech saw that might be a safety related issue, that's a concern. Anything that we see starting to go bad that maybe we want to look at down the road, like brakes are at 4 or 5s, and then any maintenance. Estimate everything like that, present it to the customer in a way that they understand, and give them the benefit of that when you're talking to them.
yeah,
And the reason that you should do it.
yeah. I had my conversation that just came out with Ben from 3Ts. I had him blocked there for a minute on my B's, keeping the name straight. And we talked about how so many shops are, when the numbers come along, they're like, they need to find another hour on every ticket, right? As a hypothetical number. There's so many times that if we actually looked at those shops that are still saying, I need to find that one more hour, a lot of them are not doing a very good DVI. And they're certainly not doing a good 300% advocacy for the work they find. Think about just the little things that it's like. I'll give you an example. Since I started, my boss is selling way more rear wiper blades than he has previous. Why? Because every car that I walk out to, when I walk into the parking spot, it's the first thing I look at. I lift the blade up and I look, so that I look at that, and if it's already hanging off, yes, I got to turn it on to make sure that the motor works. But at the same time, I'm already there. There's a wiper blade that needs to be done. That's another
Yep.
$20 on an RO, right? If we
Yep.
just start to think about little things like that, like if I walk around and I'm like, headlights are cloudy, there's another possible hour sold in labor on a buffing the headlights out. Like there's so many things that I need car count, I need car count, I need car count. No, we need to slow down and really pick these cars apart.
Make every
Not
call count.
Yes, not to say you got to do it all or else I don't want you here as a customer. That's not what we're trying to say.
No.
But I don't need another 10 oil changes in to do 10 more DVIs if I actually slow down on the 10 that I've got and make them aware of everything that has been noted. It doesn't mean you got to do it today, but it should be the next appointment. We wrote up a CV boot last week. 3 months later, you're back in for your next oil change. Let's get that CV axle changed out for you.
Yeah, the consumer is going to have to get as an industry. We need to educate the consumer. It's not upselling. We're not selling you anything that it doesn't need.
That's right.
It's the conversation you have with them and explain the benefit. I've been using like your personal health as a way to describe it to the customer of, hey, if we don't maintain this in your vehicle, it's kind of like ignoring and not maintaining your body. It will go to waste and it's going to cause problems down the road. And I tell every customer that I talk to, like, look, I'm going to give you the entire estimate. This is stuff that we saw and I address it as I just said. I'm not saying you have to do it today. Our job is to inform you of everything that we see on your vehicle, and let you know the reason we saw it and the reason we're recommending and the benefit to you by doing it. It is your job to make an informed decision on what you want to spend.
Yeah. The other thing that I've found lately is that like Ontario went to a new way of doing safety inspections up here. So now there's a whole lot more. Everything that almost is documented in a safety inspection needs a picture of, which before you only had to click yes or no that it was, and that was it. There was no pictures. Now everything wants a picture, which is good. But what we're starting to see doing is we're having a lot of customers come in and it's like they're thinking about maybe selling the car hypothetically, or they're thinking about giving the car to somebody else. Those
5
are
years later, it's still there.
Yeah. But here's the two scenarios is that if you give it to somebody else or you want to go and sell it, you either sell it as is or you sell it safety certified, which is what has to be done in the province of Ontario. We have a lot of cars now that like the customer isn't aware of how rusted it is underneath. And then they go, I'm thinking about selling this. And you kind of put it up in the air and show it to them and like, see how the rockers are starting to go from the inside or the floor pan back here is a little punky. It ain't worth anything to sell because unless the customer wants to spend $4,000 on some body work, your low mileage, never undercoated car isn't really worth squat. And so if the other thing I'm learning to advocate for is to tell the customers the condition of this car is either we're at a point now where you're in it forever, you're in it, for the foreseeable future until it stops running and then it goes to the junkyard because it's too rusted now to fix, or now is the time to think about getting rid of it or fixing it. It's past the point of bothering to spray undercoating on it is what I'm trying to say. So that's a big thing now. And it's just, again, it's one more level of being that advocate for that customer and that advocate of that vehicle to say, I don't do undercoating, but if you plan to keep a car 10 years, you really should be undercoating because it will not last 10 years in my climate up here without doing that. And I don't know what's rust like. Is it as big a deal, Bret?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We're in the rust belt.
Okay.
We get a lot of rust. We just had one the other day that I basically it came in for something else, and I told the lady, I was like, "Look, you're right there where the suspension was rotted out and coming apart." I'm like, and it was an older Buick, low mileage, like you're saying, but that left rear where that suspension and shock and all that was mounted was rusted out with holes in it, and I'm like, I don't know anybody really doing that kind of rust repair on the frame rail. I said, you're at a point now, it's, find somebody that can either fix it and the rocker panels, the rockers underneath were starting to rust through, or you're going to be, like you said, you're going to be getting to the point you have to get rid of this car. I can't legally put a sticker on it. It is not safe.
Yeah. Yeah. We had a 20, I want to say it was 2011 or 2012 Malibu. Didn't even have 60,000 kilometers on it. So guys, do the math there for converting to, communist units to America measurements. We're talking low mileage. Car ran beautiful. It had come in the month before for a check engine light on for an evap fault. Smoke it. It's a filler neck. Now, it was a struggle to even find a filler neck for one. The dealer had to order it in because the dealer doesn't work on 2012 Malibus too often anymore. But then, like, going through the car with the customer going, the filler neck's rotted. Guess what? That's not the first thing to rot on those cars. There's hardly any fuel tank straps. There's hardly any, like,
Oh
same
yeah.
thing you said. Every suspension member that has a attachment point doesn't look really good. This customer had let a very low mileage, what should be a very still usable, valuable car, deteriorate to a point where it was like, this thing is, just about scrap unless you really want to now. Because you can't trade it. I mean, you can trade it in, but you'll get $500 for it,
Yeah, you're not getting your value out of it. I had a
No.
customer call me with an older E350 van. He's like,
Mm,
I want to detail the engine bay and all this because I'm thinking of sell. I was like, dude, I said it's not going to raise the value of that van. No, just sell it as is, the way it is. Be done with it. Don't put any money in it. It's not going to raise the value of your vehicle.
hmm So let's steer the question. Now that I assume that you're trying to find another service writer.
Absolutely not.
Oh, no?
My lead tech that has been with me 13, 14 years, I brought him up in December to start showing him that side of the business because
Oh,
he's
that's
the one
cool.
that has the interest to be my successor.
Nice.
So he is going to be the service writer. He's still learning, so my hours per ticket have dropped a lot. We've also run into some things lately with the economy and all this going on.
Hmm
People are saying, no, I don't have the money for that right now.
Yeah.
But we have been able to bring them back on another schedule, but it's not helping the day to day every day. So he's learning, and actually, he's interviewing coaches right now because as a business owner, I'm going to make the investment to give him a service advisor coach.
Very cool.
So I'm making him. He interviewed, I think, 4, and he's got to make his decision this week of who he wants to go with. So as an owner, yeah, it's an expense out of my bottom line, but I'm making that investment for his growth and to see if he has what it takes to be my successor.
Brett, that's awesome. That is awesome. That is really cool.
Because if he doesn't, then in 10 years with my plan, I'm out in 10 years. I'm not hesitating. I'm out.
Hmm
Done.
Yeah.
Because both my parents died in the business and I don't want to be them.
Right.
So I'll either sell it, or if he is the guy and he has the passion, the drive, and the knowledge to do this, we're going to come up with a plan. By the time that 10-year goal comes around, he don't have to go get a business loan. He already paid me for the business.
hmm That's super. That's fantastic. When I'm there at Tools, and okay, so people, yes, I'm going to go to Tools. If everybody's sitting there wondering if Jeff's going to be there, yeah, I'm going to be at Tools in Pennsylvania, Lancaster. I'd like to meet this guy, Brett, if I could, and talk to
You
him.
will. I will
Yeah,
definitely introduce you.
yeah, for sure. Because I think that's always like for so many of like aging mechanics like myself, we either see the path out as like you spoke of, as either buying something as a business and some level of succession, or transferring into the admin side of the job versus the yank on a wrench type side of the job, because like you get to a point you just can't yank on the wrench anymore.
Yep.
It becomes harder and harder. So what, you're going to be without a tech, Brett?
Absolutely, I did not. I had 3 techs on it. I already had 3 on the floor. So when I did have the
Okay.
service advisor, I actually had 4. I
Okay.
didn't have enough car flow for 4. And
Mm,
my goal was to eventually, I wanted him to start coming up here and learning this side and then kind of working on him and growing him. But I was a little overstaffed. So it sucked that it happened the way it did, but it was a blessing. So I'm making do with what I currently have. I hired another front desk girl, CSR. And that's where I tell my coach, I said, I'm a little different. My service advisor is not my front desk person.
okay.
They're not the ones taking all the phone calls, handling all the customers. They're just handling the customers and the techs. I
Right.
have a CSR for everything else. With the goal is the CSR will turn into another service advisor down the road.
Hmm. Yeah,
Uh,
it's a good way to learn it, right? It's a good way to learn what the customer tends to be making the phone calls for,
yep.
you know? Yeah,
So
great.
I want to keep. I have a hard time always be recruiting. So I am always trying to grow. I want to invest in my team. I want them to grow for their own individuality, which will help them in the job, whether it's with me. I'm hoping it's with me long term,
Yeah.
but it will help me in the immediate when they do get better at their job because it helps the business, it helps the customer. It just is an overall improvement of what our industry is. We still have to break some of the molds that we still have on
Yeah.
for our industry. There are certain shops that just keep the industry down, and we how do we get rid of them? Eventually, they're not going to be around much because they can't keep up with the technology.
It, that's what I've been saying that for 20 years, and now I'm
I know.
finally seeing it. I'm seeing it 100%. The and I just had an interesting conversation with Check Engine Chuck this morning. Not really a complete conversation, just a couple of comments back and forth. And it's like, because he talked about somebody just jammed a module in this car and it didn't fix it, right? So then they're lucky because they can return the module and all that kind of stuff. And I said, I can't wait till every part store out there has a 100% no exceptions. If it's electrical and it's dropped off, you own it, no returns. Because I feel like as long as we still have loopholes like that, people are going to be trying it. I'm going to try to fix your car, Mrs. Smith. And listen, nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. Brett, you're not perfect. No
Absolutely.
shop owner or technician that I've ever met is perfect. But I don't like the try attitude. I don't like the try method. I like the yes, I'm 100% going to look at your car, diagnose your car, and fix it, or no, I'm not. Simple as that. I don't want the it's the old Mr. Miyagi from the Karate Kid. There is no try. There's do or there is don't.
Are you
I
for imprint sure?
yeah, yeah. I because it just frustrates me, Like I mean, because we keep saying that's going to be the technology is going to be the whole is going to be the gatekeeping way of keeping the different level out. And man, I wish it's been 20 years, man, and they're still hanging on. They're
They're
like
still here.
they're
They're
like
the
barnacles,
they're the parts hangers.
Yeah.
And that's where we have to set ourselves up to say why we are better, why we're
Mhm.
charging what we are charging, and here's the value of that. It's all about putting the value in it. You know, I know like in our area, and you probably have it up there. There's some guys that'll advertise on Facebook. Hey, I'll come to your house and fix your car. A, they got no overhead. B, what kind of qualifications do they have? And C, what insurance do they have if they mess your car up?
Yeah.
You come into my shop and I mess something up. Guess what? My insurance is going to have to pay for that, depending on how bad it was.
Hmm.
But I will own everything that we goes out of my door.
Well, it scares me because, like, for instance, I'll see in a local neighborhood group, somebody will say, "I need a recommendation to where my car needs brakes. Where should I go?" And you'll see like four people recommend the same four shops, and then you'll see 10 names that people recommend of people that don't work at a shop that will put the brakes on the car. When I have gotten so much flack for saying you shouldn't be able to walk into an AutoZone and buy a set of brake pads, and everybody goes, "That's just stupid thinking," and you're gatekeeping. It, nobody's been able to still explain it to me how this helps the industry at any more than just a brake pad sale. If we allow anybody to buy whatever the heck they want and put on whatever the heck they want with no inspection at all, I mean, it's ludicrous to me that you need some certification to be able to buy refrigerant to put it in a car,
I,
but you don't need certification to buy brake pads, ball joints, tie rods.
I was just getting ready to say that because Pennsylvania, you need a license to cut hair,
Yeah.
you need a license to work on nails, your fingernails, and you need a license for this, but you don't need a license to work on the second largest investment that you will make and the
Yeah.
safety of your family and everybody else on the road. You don't need a license to work on it. I agree 100%, Jeff.
Yeah, it's 100%. And
Something needs to be changed with that.
so you probably saw Dutch, and I haven't had a chance to look into everything that Dutch was talking about with his his initiative going forward. And Dutch is one of those people like that. Him and I don't see eye to eye on my theory that you shouldn't be able to buy brake pads. He is very much like, he looks at it as it's the freedom of it. I totally get what he's saying. Totally understand. I'm all about freedom too. But it scares me. It scares me the amount of people that don't appreciate the difference between a professional doing a brake job and just somebody doing a set of brakes on a car. They don't understand the difference of what we're trying to do and how it's done and why it will last longer. They don't care.
No.
But
They
some
don't
people do care.
they don't clean the rust off the brake caliper slide and all this. Or if they get a Honda, they don't know how to work on the electronic parking brake back here, and they screw it up. Next thing you know, they come to us and we got to, hey, you need $600 worth of calipers. You just
Yeah.
messed it up.
Yeah. And then they go, "Oh my God, I can't believe you're trying to rip me off. Like, are you sure that that's what it is?" Well,
I could buy that caliper for $150.
it doesn't come with the electrical part that, Uncle Pookie screwed up, right? Like, it doesn't come with that. First of all, when you're looking at the part, you don't even know what you're looking at. Secondly, but I always, that just drives me crazy, because it's like, let's think about this for a minute. Your car worked good until somebody worked on it. And now you're at my facility because it doesn't work right. And you're asking me, well, was it what they did? Let's think about that for a minute. Now, your car is either experiencing, the weirdest things in the world that are completely unrelated, and it's just a whatever. It's just a fluke, the moon phase. Or, yes, it's cause and effect. Somebody went in there that didn't know what they were doing, and they've messed your stuff up. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. You didn't value what I do. You didn't value what my brothers and sisters in the industry do. And now we're in a pickle. So let's get out of the pickle jar and think about, what are we moving forward? Moving forward, we're gonna have to put more money into this thing.
Yep.
And people get mad at me. That to me is a life lesson. That teaches people lessons. It sucks. It's expensive lessons.
Because now you as a shop, as a tech, you have to go back to try and figure out what was done for the initial complaint, plus what cause did that have on the new complaint.
Yeah.
So you're almost doing double the work. So where this is, instead of a $200 or $300 diag time, now you're at $500.
Yeah. Well, Brian Pollock and I talk about it all the time. You go in there and it's like, I have to look at what the other shop did. Oh, it's got a module in it. Check engine Chuck this morning. It's got a Dorman module in it. That doesn't mean that Dorman's bad. And I'm not trying to say that Dorman's bad all the time. That's not what I'm trying to say. And then in the end, it didn't need a module. So the Dorman module wasn't the problem, and the module that was in the truck wasn't the problem. But when somebody else has been working on it that doesn't know what they're doing or isn't applying a process to this, yeah, you're adding more layers of the onion to the person that is going to fix your stuff for you. I wish people would just leave it alone.
That's because they've Googled the shit out of it. They've YouTubed the shit out of it. So I don't know why they still look at our industry the way they do. It's a shame, and it's going to take a lot of effort for us. I mean, we've been trying to change this industry for 50, 60 years, and it still has the same perception in the majority of people's. Like in Pennsylvania, they want to do away with the state inspection program and the emissions program. The first time they do away with the state inspection program, most people, the common people, will get their cars fixed.
Yeah.
But you're still going to have that other percentage of people that just, they don't care. Now, the problem is, now they're on the roads with an unsafe vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
So not only are they at risk, they're putting everybody else at risk.
Yeah.
I do agree with safety inspection programs.
Yeah. 100%.
In my shop at least once a year.
Yeah.
They have to come in at least once a year.
Yeah. Now, we're not to the point in Ontario. I think it's going to happen. That's the rumor that's coming down the pipe, is that we're going to see, when people renew their license every 2 years, that they're probably going to have to do a safety inspection on their car. Now, everything political can change.
Oh, absolutely. They're working on emissions going 5-year exemption on new vehicles. And I'm like, I'm fine with the 5-year exemption on new vehicle. Put a mileage exemption on it. You have it currently 5,000 miles in a 12-month period. If you're going to go to a 5-year, put a mileage exemption on it. Because somebody can drive that car 100,000+ miles in 5 years, and I guarantee you're going to have problems.
We all see cars with way less than 100,000 miles on them that have failed emissions components. Think about how many Ford purge valves or or purge solenoids or evap pressure sensors on Fords, the newest ones that are failing way before 100,000 miles.
Oh, absolutely.
Lots, all kinds of them, right?
Jeff, I'm a Ford truck guy, but Ford keeps me in business.
I'm not a Ford truck guy. I just got to say. I'm a Dodge Ram kind of guy if I'm going to buy a truck. I just
They
tell
keep me in
everybody.
business too, so I'm all right with that.
It's sad, isn't it, Brett, that when we
It is.
talk now about the domestic pickups, how poor the quality has gotten for the price. They're
It is.
$100,000 pickup trucks.
That's why I still drive a 99 Chevy Suburban with 260,000 miles on it. It's not rusted out yet, but I'll drive it till it won't pass.
Nobody can put a valve train in a domestic truck anymore and have it stay together.
I feel bad when customers ask me about what would I recommend buying, and I tell them every day 100% Honda, Toyota.
Yeah.
If you are looking for cost of ownership over the longevity of your vehicle, yes, you're going to have some maintenance. Honda, Toyota right now are the top two. I don't see a ton of problems with them.
No.
Compared to the other models.
We hardly see any Toyota pickup trucks up here. Like, they just don't sell. Or if they are selling, the dealer is doing a fantastic job of retaining them at the dealership because we don't see them. Nissan's the same. We do not see them as pickup trucks, right? We don't even see. It's not that we don't see, but like if you're going to see a truck in most of the bays that come into the shop as an aftermarket bay right up here, it's Ford all the time. They still sell so many trucks compared to everyone else. Crazy.
And somebody did put that to me. It's like, yeah, Ford has problems, but they probably are the number one selling brand in trucks. Mm-hmm. So there's so many more Ford trucks on the road than compared to the other ones. I know Chevy, GM, and the Dodges, there's plenty of them out there too. But, when you put it in perspective, if there's a lot more on the road, there's going to be a lot more in the shops.
Yeah, there's some truth to that. That EcoBoost twin turbo V6, I hate. I think it's junk. I mean, they never got the manifolds right on the Tritons, and then they go ahead and stuff a turbo on it, and it's like, guess what? I understand Ford and GM or
some
Ford and Dodge.
They're smart as hell, but dumb as fuck.
And I understand we're putting manifolds on everything. I get it. I totally get it. That's a different thing of what metal we're using for our climate. Totally cool. But it just frustrates me now when it's like a simple manifold job has got a turbo bolted to it, and it isn't a simple manifold job anymore. It's another level of, do I get these lines? Do I get the fittings so that the lines don't leak? We all know those. If you touch that line the wrong way on those EcoBoost turbos, you're changing that fitting so that the line will stay, not leaking. Like, it just, they come back constantly. And then turbos, like, look at that. Who's buying an aftermarket turbo and having any success? There's no hands going up, right?
Right.
So going back to it, what's a good day at your shop? And I don't mean a financial thing. What is it like what makes you feel really happy when you've had a great day at your shop? What is it that happened?
So a good day would be we had plenty of cars that day. We got them all in a timely fashion and got the reports back to the customers in time and not wait till late in the day.
Yeah.
We sell some of the work and then we turn around and we complete everything by the end of the day. That's the ideal day.
That's the ideal day.
Would I like to sell 100% of the jobs on every car? Absolutely. Every shop owner every tech would love to do that. Mm-hmm. It doesn't happen. But if you could sell at least 50% of the work you recommend and still turn around and get your busy schedule done that day and back to the customers where there's no layover, where there's, we're not waiting on parts, where this and that. Like if we had 12 cars in, we sold $10,000 worth of work that day and we turn around and get it done by the end of the day, that's a good day.
That's a good day. Yeah. You don't have to worry about loaners and
now I have 4 loaner cars, so they are constantly out. They are out. So we have to plan our schedule around. I am one of the few shop owners that still will do a waiter or two, but only in the morning.
Okay.
I'm only doing 1 or 2. I'm trying to eliminate that 100%. I don't know if I can because I still have some clients in my base that they only will wait. Right. Older people. They don't want to drive a car.
Right. I can get that.
I don't have staff to run them home. Yeah, I don't have staff to run them home. So I don't have a porter. I'm not there yet. I'd love to get there. So that's an
Is
ideal day, and we actually had one of them days this past week where we did about $9,000 in revenue in one day, and every car was repaired in a timely fashion. We did everything on time. We got it out back out the door and rescheduled for some of the services the next time.
Mhm.
Those are good days.
Yeah, that's when you feel like you're winning, eh? Like it didn't.
Yeah,
Yeah. What is there anything that a customer comes in for that you won't have as a waiter,
that they won't wait.
or that you have to say like you would draw the line in the sand and go, you can't wait for this.
The only thing I will let them wait for is if they come in for an oil service or a state inspection emission test. Anything else, they're dropping off.
Okay.
Especially if it's, I got to check engine light. I want to wait. Nope. I need your car at least 2 hours.
Okay.
I'll put you in a loaner car. I'll take you to work if I have to. Um, but oil service, kind of hard to say no to that because they can go down the street to a Jiffy Lube or something like that. State inspection, an emission test. We're hoping to get some more out of that. Same with the oil service. You're hoping to get more out of it.
Yeah.
Problem is, I understand the waiting, and it's always been that way. They're there. They went in. They went out. There's not a lot of time to talk to them and try and explain some of the things we find. But the ones that are there waiting for that, and I do go out and talk to them. Now, is it me talking to them or is it somebody else talking to them? And how you explain it? That before they leave, we already have another appointment, at least for something of what I talked to them about. I've been big on exit scheduling for 15, 16 years. I've been doing exit scheduling mostly on oil changes, or if I see their inspections coming up, I'll set the next schedule. And I get 70% of them to return. They forget about it.
Yeah.
But you get the reminder, like, I don't remember setting this up. No, we had set that up the last time you were here. Is it still good for you? Oh, yeah. And my car does need it. So, okay. See you here.
Yeah. That goes back to what I was talking about, just making that extra little bit of effort while the car is here.
Yeah.
To make another hour, another 0.5 or something like that. That's something that for years in the dealer, I didn't even think about was the exit, not exit strategy, but like you said, the exit scheduling of,
Yep.
your next appointment's going to be 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, whatever the interval we're going to set it up as is going to be that way. And it's so effective. It really is.
I tell you when I first implemented, it took me a couple tries to get the customer base to buy in. I actually went and bought toothbrushes. And I would hand them a toothbrush with the reservation card. And they're like, what's this? I said, you go to the dentist twice a year. Here's your reminder. You're coming to here for twice a year.
That's brilliant. That really is.
Now I didn't go as far to get them branded. They were generic toothbrushes that I would just hand them a toothbrush.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is. I'm surprised Lola Schmidt, if you're listening, when you listen to this, there's a little tip for you and Brian and Kim Walker too, because I mean the marketing thing is huge, but something like that is just brilliant, because you think about like by the time this toothbrush head is worn out, you should be coming in for your next service. That's fantastic. Yeah.
And I think I got it from a class by attending a training event like Tools.
We can't, we're telling jokes here, people, but what Brett and I are really is we're serious about this. Like it is, and listen, I'm not just, selling it to sell it because I'm going. I can't stress enough how much it's changed my life to be able to attend these events and what it makes me. People that have known me for a while now know where I was when I first started to network with people through these events and where I am now about the attitude of this industry. It will change your outlook on where you think you are when you start to meet so many more people like Brett, because Brett's putting the show on for sure. But he's just a shop owner, just like so many other of us else. And he's been through the same obstacles and trials and the frustrations, and like he's just shared, that everybody goes through and is going through. Lucas is going through it. David goes through it. Like we all go through it. It is just it. I wish I didn't have to say it's part of the business, but it is part of the business. But this is how
part of everyday life.
Yeah.
Every day, whether it's a business or not.
Yeah, but this is how we make it not be a 10 on the scale of 1 to 10 of suck. This is how we keep it down to a 4.
Yeah.
Right? It's because we have a network of people we can reach out to and say, hey, how do I handle this? And the groups have been phenomenal for that. But when you sit down and you meet these people and they share stories about this this technician I had, or I'm going back to it, you see how much more effective it is, the conversation, the confidence that you go away. Because it's one thing to read it on the screen. It's another for somebody to make it a connection with somebody. They know about a problem you're having. Brett's looking at me like he's nodding his head. And to be able to check up on that person a month later and go, so how did it go with that person that was causing you this thing that we spoke about? And then you go, we talked it out and it's perfect. Or I had to let them go. Or, I don't use that vendor anymore. Stuff like that. Like, it's just, it's so powerful, guys. So powerful.
You can't stress it enough. Unfortunately, what's the adage? You can't lead a horse. You can lead a horse to water. You can't make them drink it.
Yeah.
But you could only preach it, and I'll preach it from the mountaintops till the day I'm out of this business. And even when I'm probably not in the business, I will still be part of the community to spread my knowledge. Well, it might only be worth a penny, but I'm here to advocate for anybody that's in this business. That's what we're here for. And like you said, the camaraderie that you can build, but you can be on the computer, going to the Facebook groups and all that. But you mentioned it earlier in this discussion. They can't see what your expression is on the typewriter, on the keyboard. Coming to these events and getting to meet them face to face. Now you're getting that. You can see the expression. You can see what you're talking about. You can feel the passion that you have. I've told this, I think, a long time ago, and I think was on one of the other podcasts. Is like, this was not my dream to be a shop owner. This was my parents' business, not mine.
Yeah.
My dream was the military. I wanted to be 100% military. And I would say, so this wasn't my dream. This was my parents' dream. However, after being in this business almost 40 years now, I'm old. I come to realize after sitting down at the summit in Florida with the Institute, there was something that I think Cecil said that resonated with me. It's like, you know what? This is my dream. It has been my dream for a long time. I just never woke up to that aspect and that voice in my head. So I'm going to advocate for anybody that's in this position. This is a dream. It's a dream job.
Yeah.
It does come with its struggles, and every aspect of life comes with its struggles. It's how you get through it. And the way we get through it is we get to communicate with other people that have been through it.
I'm very blessed in the sense that I know that I can do nothing else, that I am exactly where the good Lord intended me to be in this industry. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean the employer that I have at the time, but I know for sure that I am doing exactly what I was intended for me to do. I am out there to fix cars and meet people and help them get the best investment out of their vehicle, out of that experience. I know that is at my core. That is what I'm about, 100%. And that is a big lift off my shoulders because I know people in their 40s that are like looking back going, I never wanted to do this and I never felt satisfaction from it. I've felt so much satisfaction from my career already, and I'm not even done yet. That it's like I'm blessed to be where I am.
I mean,
Brett,
satisfaction. Before we get to your last thought, as a technician, like you said, if that job has been other shops, now you got the job. You diag it, you fix it. Yeah. Same as a shop owner. If we take it in and our staff turns around and we've repaired their vehicle and the customer's happy, that's satisfaction you can't put a price tag on.
Yeah, huge. Yeah. And I was just talking with another shop owner friend of mine this morning. I'm not advocating that we go down a bunch of rabbit holes on some diags, right? Because it's foolish. Paul's video that just dropped yesterday, it's one of the ones that he walked away from. And then, he's able to do a follow-up in the comments about ended up going to the dealer, and somehow the dealer was able to get the ethanol percentage to reset so that the car would stop being flooded. It was a 2011 Jeep Pentastar, flooded way out, 60 milliseconds.
Engines.
60 milliseconds of on-time injector time, right, was flooding the engine out. And so there's so many nuggets. It's a 2-part video on there's so much nuggets there of effective, efficient diag and what's causing it and all that kind of stuff. Like, it's just brilliant. But it's one of the ones that he was not able to have his hand in the final fix. It left the shop that it was at Latour's. It left Latour's. It wound up back at the dealer. The dealer didn't really tell anybody what they did. The customer has not answered phone calls. Like, it's just one of those things. he is good at this point in his career with understanding that like he doesn't need his ego stroked to see every fix. And that's what I keep saying. And it's the same thing I was talking about with Ben from 3Ts. I don't need to fix every car out there. And I don't want to fix every car out there. And it's not a case of it's like they don't meet my standards as a business or a technician. I just don't like, I want to stay in my lane. I want to do what I'm competent at, what I'm comfortable with, what I can effectively do for my customer. And I want to stay there and grow a little. That's it. I don't want to overextend myself where I have to. I have to say yes to everything. That's, I think, the biggest, Brett, the biggest pitfall we have in this industry is so many of us are sitting at a point where we have to take in things that we probably don't even really want to do.
And so as a shop owner, you're saying yes to that when your business dips and the car flow is not there. So you will say yes to everything. I still do not do that. I know my limitations. I know my staff's limitations, and I just will absolutely refuse to take a job that's going to put more stress on the whole staff.
Yeah. Brett,
I will ask them first if they want it.
I was just going to ask you
that. I let it go.
Uh-huh. That takes some guts, though, on your end to be able to that open of communication with your staff, right?
I trust my staff. They are involved in 99% of the decisions I make in my business. I get their input on everything.
Yeah, that's so key because, I mean, I'm not trying to say that every technician or owner out there can't go out there and get the job done in the bay. If the staff was to say, heck no, you're going to be like, take a hard line and go, okay, well, then I'll effing do it. Will you get it done? Yeah. Is it the right thing to do? No. Like, it's just, it's not, I don't think those things are worth it unless you're trying to make a point. And then I guess you made the point. Was it foolish? Might have been. That's how I see some of those jobs going in some shops right now. Is it's like I got to the bottom of it. We fucking did it. We put an engine in. You guys didn't want to do it. I hear that all the time, and I can see it when the shop owner's writing the post out. We put an engine in it. I'm sure there was somebody in the back going, that thing ain't worth doing that.
Yeah.
Well, I need to do it, so I'm going to do it. Okay, here you go. And then it's like, shit, right? Like it took longer. It was a nightmare. Who was it? Somebody said they put a used engine in, it still didn't run right. And then they had to, it was something I saw on TikTok. It's like, so it needs new spark plugs now in this used 4.7 that they put in a Durango. And like there's bolts, the exhaust manifolds are, bolts are trying to break off the used engine and there's welding involved. Yeah, I get it. The aftermarket warranty company wants that done. Doesn't have to be done in your shop. My point.
Yeah, there's certain things that I will bow to the extended warranty companies as far as if they want a remanufactured or a used motor, that's fine. But it's not going out of my shop just by slapping that thing in. It's going to get new spark plugs. It's going to get this and that, new gaskets and all that. And if you're not paying it, the customer is well aware that they are paying the balance of that bill.
Yeah, huge. Because they're going to come back and they don't know whether when they get a used engine, whether the old manifold stays on or whether it gets a new one. They don't know. They don't know the pieces like we do. So everything that becomes after the fact, when it has a problem after they put a big engine in it, is always assumed that we did something wrong. It's our
ever since syndrome.
Yeah.
Ever since syndrome. Ever since you changed my oil, my radio don't work.
Yeah, I had one. What did I have years ago? I had one where I did a brake job on a Caravan, and the next day it came in and the battery didn't work, and it was flagged as a comeback and start, dispatched to me. And I'm like, how did the brakes cause the radio not to work? They're like, we know, but she's upset, and we just need to get it in the shop. Can you look at it?
Yeah, we had a customer kind of give us flack for doing a DVI. She came in for a check engine light on an older Honda. I think it was a Honda Civic or something. And you could tell the DVI list was a laundry list. And Cody did his job and she just shut him off right at the beginning. All I wanted was a check engine light checked out. It needed spark plugs and one coil.
Yeah.
But we were trying to tell her all she wanted was a check engine light. So when I went up, when she came in, she was giving me a rash. Like, I'm paying. I said, no, the DVI is a courtesy. We do it with every vehicle that comes in our shop. It's an evaluation. We let you know. But the tie rod was loose, and there was some other safety issue.
Hmm.
So she left pissed off. I'm still kind of waiting on that 1-star review because all she wanted was a check engine light because her boyfriend could do the job. Well, yeah, apparently somebody's doing the job because your car looks like crap and it's a safety issue. So the DVI, I didn't tell her this, but the DVI is also be a CYA for us to prevent the ever since syndrome. That, hey, I just had my car in there and now my tire fell off because you didn't tell me the tie rod was loose.
Yeah. So when we pass her on the side of the highway next week, and the Honda will be leaned way over.
I'll go by her and like, we told you about it right there.
Yeah. How do you like that DVI now? And it sounds so like we can, thank God we can joke about it. But Bret, think about how many times in this industry we have, like, the technician's notes have shown and nobody's told anybody about it.
Back to my original point, why my service advisors quit. They weren't talking to the customer about it. If you don't tell them or estimate it, it never happened, and it makes us look bad.
It makes us look incompetent. Yeah, for sure.
So I don't know. We could go down that rabbit hole all the time. But you had mentioned Paul Danner, and actually he will be at Tools with you.
I was just going to ask you. Please share with us the people that you know for sure are coming to Tools to hang out, to teach, to be there.
We have some of the best in the industry. I mean, Steckler's coming.
Oh,
the Institute's going to be there. Andrew Fisher will be there. Brian Pollock, Jim Kokonis, Keith Perkins, Liz Perkins, Isaac Rodell's coming in. We got a ton of people coming in for Euro. Tommy Oliver's coming in. Josh Weaver will be there. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. If you want management side, the Institute, Rick White, Kim Arnheimer, we got some of the best in the business coming in for Tools, which makes me happy. I was actually turning people away this year. I had no more class space. And that's a big change from when we took this event over. People now want to come in to attend and be a part of this event. So if you are looking to come, Paul and Kristen Danner will be coming with SD Charities.
Yeah.
And I will be putting out a video with them here, hopefully this week, about what we're going to do there. We're going to do an online auction as a fundraiser for SD Charities, where they're going to share in this video some of the products they've already been donated. And we're talking some pretty nice stuff from what Paul's telling me.
That's awesome.
And the online auction will be available for those who are attending the event May 29th to June 1st in Lancaster. I got to figure out all the details. Like you said, I'm not a techie guy either, but we're going to figure this out, that you're going to be an online auction. And it's a Saturday during the dinner keynote. We will announce the winners of those auctions, that they can take those items home.
That's fantastic. That's amazing.
But yeah, I mean, Josh Purnell is going to be our keynote speaker Saturday night, and he's going to put on one heck of a keynote.
Yeah, Josh Purnell from the Limitless Leadership,
the bearded leader.
That's right.
I mean, I don't have one. I just got a little gray spot there.
I got enough for several people.
You, Brian Pollock.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so if you haven't registered yet and you're still on the fence about it, make the investment in yourself or your business and your staff. Bring your entire team, because we have training for everyone in the house, front of house to the back of the house, all skill levels too.
Yeah.
MidAtlanticACA.org/tools. And you can go there and you can see all the registrations. If you are an exhibitor and you want to be part of the trade show on Friday afternoon, Saturday afternoon, you can go there. We have 17,500 square foot of trade show floor. Hopefully having 61 vendors plus in there of 10-foot booths. And there's still sponsorship opportunities available.
Very cool.
I need a sponsor for the Thursday night kickoff pool party.
I don't know if that's going to be warm enough to be at the pool. It
should be warm enough. I'm hoping the weather's holds off, that we don't have to move it inside. Right. But if not, if you want to bring your family and you have small children, there's an amusement park right across the road called Dutch Wonderland.
Oh my goodness.
There are Tanger outlets. Lancaster's Amish country. If you
Okay.
want shoe fly pie, whoopie pie, good home food cooking, Lancaster's your place. So there's plenty of outlets. Tanger Outlets is connected to the parking lot. If you're a golfer, there's an 18-hole golf course attached to the hotel. This is an all-in-one. This is an all-in-one event venue, and I'm looking forward to having it.
Very cool. I'm looking forward to making the trip down. I know Lucas and David are coming. Brian Pollock, like we said, he's bringing Carm and Tracy are riding
Yep.
down with Brian
Tracy.
Pollock.
Yep.
So
Mike
that's going to be
Allen's
pretty.
coming up, so they're going to be there doing a podcast with
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
guys.
Braxton will be there. So, I mean, it's going to
Oh,
be.
is he coming? He didn't tell me for sure.
I think he's coming. That's
Okay.
the last I heard is that I think he's coming. Now, maybe he can't make it. Maybe that's been changed. But,
Okay.
I was under the impression that he would be there. So that's pretty
I've had a lot of people say, "Hey, are you going to have a podcast or sort of like an Apex SEMA?" I said, first off, I'm not Apex SEMA. That's big. We have one area that we can do podcasting. So unfortunately, you all are going to have to share that area.
Yeah.
And I think you guys have already worked that out.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll
We
get
have
that.
every space in their training areas. We have all the training rooms and the boardrooms booked. That's how much we have. The only thing I did not book is their theater.
Yeah.
Which hopefully next year I can book the theater.
Yeah. I see nothing but growth out of this show. I really think that this kind of show is what's really needed in this corner of
the
our
Northeast.
country.
Yep. This in the Northeast area of this, and that's the whole idea.
Yeah, I'm making the drive. I'm not even going to fly because it's only a 6-hour drive for me. So it's really like it's and do I love being in the car for 6 hours? No. But I mean, it's a 2-hour drive just to get to the airport. So I might as well just drive the other little bit and be there.
You got to get a flight. You got to rent a car. I'd just say we go down to ASTA and my staff's like, yeah, it's a 7-hour drive down to North Carolina. But till I buy everybody flights, the hotel, and I got to rent a car, we'll drive.
Yeah.
We'll take the day to drive down.
Bret, I'm excited that you're bringing me, man. I really am. And
I'm happy you're coming, buddy.
I can't wait. Can't wait to be there. It's been too long since you and I got to hang out. So, I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun. And like I said, you're
ASTA, you guys are usually in your podcasting areas. I don't get to see y'all too much.
Yeah.
Down at the Institute in Florida, I didn't see David or Lucas but for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But
those guys are
I need
busy.
at least 100 more registered people. I'm at 230. I'd like to get to 330. 400 would be very, very good.
Okay. Well, and people, you're hearing that. So, reach out to Bret and if you want to go, figure out how to get there. And I challenged, Bret and I were talking yesterday through text. Some of the people that I know that are big names in the industry are not that far from Pennsylvania. So, and we talked about Paul and Kristen are 3 hours away. Some of these people like Mr. Ivan from Pine Hollow and, Mr. O from, South Maine, Check Engine Chuck, if you guys are listening to this and you can think about, could you make it down even for a day, right? Make the trip. You don't have to necessarily catch everything if you can't commit, but come down, meet the people, right? See what the events are, and you're going to feel it. You're going to feel the kind of like what we were talking about, what these events do for you, for your outlook and your attitude and your networking. And I guarantee you're going to get something out of it. It will make the trip worthwhile. So I wouldn't be making the trip if I didn't think it was going to be something really important to attend. Because I don't make a ton of events. My time schedule doesn't, but it was like when I knew that this one was this close and who was going to be there. Yeah, for sure. I'm going to have to take time away from work, to make the trip. And I'm more than happy to do that. So
now we have a Thursday all day package, but you can only get that if you register for the entire weekend or the Friday only package. Mm-hmm. So we do have a Friday only. We have a Saturday, Sunday. And the reason we did Saturday, Sunday is because of initially when we set it up, the trade show was only going to be one day Saturday. And I didn't want to interfere with the trade show with classes. But we've since negotiated the contract. Now the trade show is open Friday afternoon and Saturday afternoon. So Saturday afternoon is still dedicated time. So I had to run classes to Sunday morning. So you get your at least 4 training sessions for the whole weekend.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, I'm looking forward to it. everybody, like I plead with you to think about, if you want to get, kick off your summer in a good way, this is a way to do it. If you can make the trip, if you're not that far away, make the commitment, come down, meet us all, see us there, enjoy it. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's not that I've never been to Pennsylvania, but it's been like a long time and I'm looking forward to it. So, anything closing, Brett, you want to say?
I appreciate you having me on. We had
Oh,
a great conversation.
yeah.
I'm passionate about this industry when we get to talk about it. It's just that thinking has changed in the last couple of years with me.
Mhm.
Uh, come to tools,
Yeah.
get the tools. If you're not in this area, get to a training event. That's all
Yeah.
I can say is advocate for yourself, your business, and your staff. Make the investment, and let's keep moving this industry the way it should be. Let's change the industry, as David and Lucas say.
Yeah. It
And
can be done, people. It's already happening.
as the jacket says, we all need to rise up and stand out.
That's right. That's right. Well, everybody, thank you for listening. Brett, I'm sorry it took so long to have you on,
Oh, that's fun, man. I'm
but I
happy.
mean, you'll be on again in the future for sure. And I look forward to seeing you in just over a month, I
Just
guess. Eh?
over a month, and we'll have some beer that I'm going to be brewing with Justin Allen. So
Oh, sweet. There we go. All right. Everybody, thank you.